I watched my husband sleep, his chest rising and falling in a steady rhythm. The room was dark and quiet, the only sound coming from the soft hum of the air conditioner. It had been a long day, filled with tears and condolences, as we said our final goodbyes to his aunt. It had only been a few short months since her sudden passing, and the pain was still raw. We were both struggling to come to terms with the loss, trying to find some semblance of normalcy in our lives. But for me, it was proving to be especially difficult. My husband had always been emotionally reserved, keeping his feelings locked away behind a stoic facade. I admired his strength and stability, but it also made it hard for me to know how he was truly coping with his grief. In the beginning, we would hold each other at night, finding comfort in our shared sorrow. But as time went on, he became more distant, retreating further into himself. Our physical intimacy waned as well, our bodies no longer seeking solace in each other's embrace. I understood that everyone grieved differently, but I couldn't help feeling neglected and alone. I yearned for his touch, for some small reminder that we were still connected amidst the sea of sadness that surrounded us. And then there was my mother-in-law. She too had been struggling with her own grief since her sister's passing. We found solace in each other's company during those early days after the funeral, sharing stories and memories of the aunt we both loved so deeply. But as time went on, our relationship began to evolve. What started as a supportive friendship subtly transformed into something deeper, an emotional bond that we struggled to define or resist. We would spend hours together, talking about everything and nothing at all. She listened intently, as I poured out my frustrations and fears about my husband's emotional distance. And I, in turn, became a source of comfort and support for her. Our conversations often turned to the physical, our bodies craving the touch and intimacy that we were no longer receiving from our respective partners. We would speak in hushed tones, our voices filled with longing as we shared our unfulfilled desires. But despite the growing tension between us, we never crossed that line. We both knew it was wrong, that giving in to our desires would only complicate an already complicated situation. So we kept our distance, content to find solace in each other's words. But now, as I watched my husband sleep, I couldn't help but wonder if there was still hope for us. If perhaps in our shared pain and grief, we could find a way back to each other, not just as friends or confidants, but as lovers. The thought both thrilled and terrified me. I loved my husband deeply, he was my everything. But the void that had opened up between us seemed insurmountable at times, and the connection I felt with his mother, this overwhelming need to be close to her, was unlike anything I had ever experienced before. I knew that exploring these feelings would come with consequences. It could destroy not only my marriage, but also tear apart our entire family. But in that moment, as I looked at my sleeping husband, I couldn't shake the feeling that it might also be the one thing that could save us all.